I'm on here just to help you guys have the biggest fundraiser that we can have for you. And so I want to just kind of explain briefly how it works. Usually people have questions, especially if this is new for you, and just go over, how you can really help your program raise the most with this fundraiser, because it can be a super easy one. But we do ask for your help. And you guys are actually a huge part of the success of this fundraiser for you, because you are the ones bringing in the customers. So without that, it's hard for us to raise you much on the sale day. So I'm going to share my screen, which I'm still trying to figure out. Okay, what happened? I had my slide going up. Of course, we went over this and then that disappeared. I don't want to do a window. Interesting.
Yeah, with PowerPoint, it should work by just sharing a window, or you could just share your entire screen and then go over to the presentation.
There we go. I got it. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see that now.
Oh yeah, looking good.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to make it bigger for me. So just a little bit about us. So I am Missy. I am the owner. And so it is actually us and a small team that is pretty much going from school to school every Saturday and Sunday, raising money for different schools all over Minnesota and Wisconsin. And so what you see here is just a teeny tiny sampling of some of the very, very large checks that we have written to schools. You'll see all the different kinds and types of programs here, a lot of music programs, just like you all, a lot of bands. Big towns, small towns, big programs, small programs, suburbs, and also small towns. So it's really the one common denominator here between all of the programs and them being able to raise these large amounts, which is our goal for you guys, is how well we truly spread the word. So the difference between a program that maybe earns $3,000 to $5,000, which we don't do as often, believe it or not, as we do for, writing those $8,000, $10,000, $15,000 checks. The biggest difference is simply how well you guys are able to go out and spread the word in your community that if folks come in on October 4th and purchase a mattress, it's going to directly support your band program. So super proud of this. This is our actually record holding sale now as of this year. So back in April, this program, Minnewaska, less than 100 students in their entire music department music program from middle school up, raised, almost $22,000 in one day. And they just had a ton of customers through the door, of course, more than I think we've ever seen. And so subsequently, they were able to raise a tremendous amount of money for their band that day, and actually music department. So who we are, like I mentioned, we really are a small business. And so we're opting to basically invest in your school and program anytime we work with you, because we are basically providing all the materials, the staffing, we're delivering all the product, doing pretty much all of the things, all of the behind the scenes things, as well as, of course, providing the sale on the sale day. And so at this point, we actually partner with over 100 schools throughout Minnesota and Wisconsin, typically, like I said, every Saturday and Sunday, running a sale with a different school. Most of our schools are annual, just like you guys, you did this last year. And Century, actually, we have run a fundraiser with since 2020. So a lot of our programs are consecutive year events, and every year they're raising between 5,000 and 10,000 plus in a single day. When we have a combined event like what you guys are having, the goal is actually to give each program that amount. And believe it or not, that is more than possible with the size of your community there in Rochester. And so this year we just went over $3 million raised since we started in 2013 here locally. And then the other neat thing about CFS is, so being a small business owner, we actually have colleagues across the country who do what we do. And so some of them have been around since 2008. We're able to share best practices, and together we just went over $70 million raised this year, which is pretty amazing. So we know a thing or two about how to run a mattress fundraiser. So, you guys probably know, just like most programs, we're raising money for all kinds of things, program needs that aren't coming from the school. So we're looking to meet some of those big budget needs like trips and uniforms and instruments and lesson programs. And the neat thing is with this one, what is different is unlike other fundraisers, we're not actually asking you to buy a mattress. We know that you wouldn't if you didn't need one anyway. If you do need one, we definitely would ask you to try to support the fundraiser, and we would help you do that because we have a whole process, with customers as they come in to help them kind of narrow down what they're looking for. But what we're actually trying to do, and why we keep talking about customers coming in and promoting the event, is we're trying to reach this percentage of people that are already out there anyway in the market for a bed. And truly, in a community like Rochester, we're talking about thousands of people, and it's a new 10 to 25% every single year that would consider themselves in the market for a mattress. Most of the time, they're going to support a big box retailer, or they're going to get online and purchase, and so that money is not staying in your community. And what we're trying to do is just have, out of those thousands that are out there, we only need 50 to 100 of those folks to walk through the door on your sale day, and that would raise you guys between $8,000 and $20,000. And so it doesn't take a ton of participation in this fundraiser like some other ones, but when there is participation, we have the opportunity to have a very huge event. Meaning, and what I mean by participation is every family committing to just simply find at least one person that truly is in the market for a mattress and invite them in on the sale day. And maybe it's you, and that's great. Your work is pretty much done, but we would ask you to please, also go out and promote it to your network as well. So I'm going to show you a short video real quick that I think does a great job of explaining how it works. Ooh. Let me make sure that's going to work. There we go. All right. So I think that does a really great job of just explaining in a little bit more detail how it actually works, how we're able to give back as much as we do. And it really is truly that no overhead model that we have that's a little bit different than a store. So, but in other respects, it's going to be just like a store, just like the video talked about. So, and we'll get into a couple of those details in just a second, just to reiterate some things. But your event is coming up on Saturday, October 4th from 10 to 5. It is at Century High School. So you want to remind people that that's where we're kind of sending everyone. That's where the showroom is going to be. But each school, as you guys have probably already seen, you have your own referral flyers with your own logo. And so you guys are promoting in your district, or sorry, it is your district, your school, singularly. Okay. So they just happen to be hosting the location for all three programs. So what that means is every single sale, which we'll get into too, we'll make sure is categorized for each school, and then even by student, because the other neat thing about this one is it's an opportunity for your students to raise individually as well, on top of what the program is raising too from the sale of each mattress. So that makes it not just a program fundraiser, but also an individual one too. So really quick, we talked about some of these things in the video, but I do want to touch on, a lot of times people do have questions about pricing. Just remember, this is going to be competitive, if not lower to retail, especially on some of those bigger name brands. We're able to offer discounting sometimes that a store can't. So it truly is an opportunity for folks to save over what they might on the same exact thing in a retail environment and still help the program. So where a lot of times fundraising items are costing more, this is not the case here. Like the video showed too, it literally looks like a store, and then we're offering all the same services that a store does. So we're going to have a team there that comes with us every single week that's, you know, there to essentially help people come in, move as quickly as they need to or as slowly as they want to in picking out whatever they need. And also so they don't have to wander all around, because we do truly have a bed for every purpose. But in terms of the services, just like a store, we do offer delivery. That's going to typically be somewhere like 3 to 4 weeks post sale. That's the average timeline. We do offer in-home setup, just like if someone purchased at a store, recycling of the old bed, as well as financing options, which do include some same as cash or 0% options, and even credit-free financing. So there's all forms of payment as well. And then it's top 10 US brands at all price points. So we literally start at $199, and we truly have a bed no matter what people are looking for, even if it happens to be like a custom setup or for an RV or something like that. And then your big name brands like Purple, Helix, Beauty Rest, all of that will be represented as well. We do have more than mattresses. So that's an opportunity for folks to support the fundraiser too. And a lot of times people aren't coming in and just purchasing a mattress. They're also getting a foundation or a set of sheets or a pillow. And then we also have these super awesome massage chairs and corduroy beanbag chairs, which, you know, unfold into a mattress. It's a beanbag that turns into a mattress. As well as power motion bases, which are tremendous for pain relief. And maybe someone isn't necessarily in the market for a mattress, or maybe they just bought a mattress and they want to supercharge their setup and get some pain relief. That's an amazing product. And that, as well as massage chairs, those bigger items are actually counting toward your volume bonus. So one of the ways that the program is raising money is in terms of volume. So every single sale counts, as well as when we reach a certain amount of sales, usually around 20 plus, it's an opportunity for the program to raise several $1,000s more on top. And so you want to let people know that we do sell more than just mattresses, because they could be contributing big time to that volume bonus, as well as when a student's name is attached to a sale that has one of these with a mattress, that's essentially a 2-bed sale for that student too. And so it's double the earnings. Okay, kind of back to what we're asking everyone to do. And the reason we talk so much about finding those customers is because after doing this for, you know, going on 20 years, we have figured out majority of the customers that come in on the sale day come from you guys. And that's what we call a referral sale. So that means someone who's directly tied to the program somehow has gone out and invited someone in, and that customer has mentioned a student's name. We make sure that student gets credit for that. But then we also know 75 to 95% of the total sales are going to come in that way. So it stands to reason, the more overall referral customers that you guys have, the more total customers you're going to have coming in on the sale day. And Erin, do you want to just really quick mention how many students you guys have this year, so we know what your potential?
Yeah, we have like 225 students in band this year here at Mayo, and then I think we have you know, there's another 200 at Century and a good strong 160, 70 so at JM. You know, and we'll talk more about this as the night progresses, but this really is a great deal. You know, we're not trying to force anybody to buy a mattress. We just want to get the word out, because it's a good mattress at a good price, and it raises money for the music programs, especially here at Mayo.
Yeah. Awesome. So really quick too, just so you guys know what those earnings are individually. So it starts at 25. And then you're able to earn additional money on top for the sale of, you know, a foundation or the sheets or anything else that people purchase on top. And so it's truly not very hard for students to get to a couple $100s, even from just a few customers, or especially if they have more than one customer coming in and purchasing in their name, the money for them individually does add up very quickly. So we mentioned a couple ways you can help promote the fundraiser. Of course, talking to people is the most effective, getting out those flyers and posters, even snapping a picture of that referral flyer where you can write your student's name on it. It's a coupon. And so that customer that mentions that student's name does get some kind of a discount or a free item with that coupon. Yard signs, we want to get those out. We want to get your social media page going. You have your own Facebook event, so share that out on Facebook. All you need to do is go to our CFS Twin Cities site, and then you can invite friends there. That's a great way to bring exposure to your event and also help answer questions that they might have too, because your social media page has tons of information about the products and everything. We do offer, real quick too, another way you can promote the event is a discount for teachers or any faculty at any school. So maybe they even teach outside, your community an hour away or something, and they want to come in and purchase. They're going to get a discount no matter what their capacity is at any school, and all staff receive that, as well as your heroes, which is going to be police, fire, police, as well as active duty military and retired veterans, as well as healthcare. And so that discount is 10% off, which is quite a bit. So you want to let those folks know that's another way you can promote the event. And then lastly, we'll need a few volunteers on the day of the event. It's a fun day for the students who do volunteer. We like to have a few parents per shift too, just working in couple-hour shifts. Really, you're more just providing an event atmosphere for those folks as they're coming in, letting them know what you're raising money for, thanking them, and then you get to see the sale and try out some of the products. So we definitely encourage you, if you're inclined, to volunteer and come see us on the day of. So, but that's it from me. So if you have questions, and I'm here, now's an opportunity to ask, but otherwise you can definitely text us at this phone number. That's our customer service line. You can email us. A lot of times people have questions about pricing and stuff up front. Do we have a website? We do not, just because our model is all over low overhead. And so even stores don't have every model that they carry listed. But what we can do, you can simply just shoot us an email, copy a customer on there who has questions maybe about pre-purchasing or pricing or a bed that they already saw and they know they want. Whatever it is, maybe they even live in Arizona and they want to buy a bed, we can help them. We can ship beds anywhere in the country and kind of walk through the online through the different manufacturing sites to show them what we have and also help them with different pricing and stuff. So, but that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think this last year, about a year ago, when we did this combined with John Marshall and Century, is the first time I had done a fundraiser like this. And I really do think it's just a win-win-win. CFS certainly has my support. They offer good products at a good price. And really our job is just to get the word out. In a community as big as Rochester, there certainly are plenty of people that are probably thinking about buying a mattress or related items. And I think our job is just to kind of get the word out. Yeah, I saw a question in the chat of how much money does the band program need to raise? Man, what a loaded question. I was just talking to my tuba players the other day, and we were talking about how some of the sousaphones we're using are still kind of from the 1960s. And we could use a new fleet of sousaphones, which go for about $10,000 a piece. So if you want to make maybe $100,000 donation, we'll take that too. But I think in terms of how much money the band program needs to raise, I think anything helps, and I think that in the range of money that we're raising with CFS here, like in that $5,000, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 range, that does make a significant dent in our ability to purchase items that we wouldn't otherwise be able to. And I think that's not to say that the school district doesn't support our music programs. We were lucky enough last year that they supported us and got us a new $36,000 concert shell, for our auditorium. But I think the reality is that strong music programs, they certainly cost money. And, this partnership with CFS kind of allows us to make a dent in that. And as messaging goes out, I'll be more specific about some ideas that we might be able to use the money for. But we're always happy to take additional donations if anyone ever wants to make one. Do Do you guys have any more questions for CFS and Missy tonight, or should we bid her farewell and kind of get on to some other parts of our meeting?
Yeah, one question. So the fundraiser is not specifically go toward like the Florida trip, but just
No,
band in
this
general?
one, I tell you what we've done is, and I talked to Century's band director, Amanda Kaus. She kind of talked about tracking the referrals by student, and I think we're going to try to do that this time around. And if we have a student that has a fair amount of referrals, then we're going to see if we can allocate some of that to that student's Disney trip. I will say that'll be a little bit retroactive. This fundraiser happens in October, October 4th. Our final Disney payments are due September 17th. And then getting the fundraised funds from CFS usually happens maybe, a couple months down the road after that. So the timing is not quite perfect, but we could, if there was a seller that really got quite a few referrals, we could go look at making a retroactive like reimbursement for part of that Disney trip, if that makes sense. But the timing's a little bit off regarding our Florida trip. Does that kind of answer your question a little bit?
Yep, thanks.
Perfect. All right. Anything else for CFS or Missy? Awesome. Well, thanks so much for sharing, Missy. Appreciate that. And we'll see you on the fundraiser day here in about a month.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. Bye.
So I want to talk a little bit this evening about the overall structure of the band program. 2 years ago, we had the first ever incident of needing to have 2 ninth grade bands here at the Mayo High School band program. And this year, we are back in that realm. We have 2 ninth grade bands again this year, so about 225 band members total. And then Symphonic Band is meeting 3rd hour this year, and Symphonic Winds, which is the top group by audition, is meeting 2nd hour. Students who haven't had an opportunity to audition for that top group will have an opportunity definitely at the end of the year. There may be some entries to that group mid-year. Kind of just depends on instrumentation space and that sort of thing. These bands are getting big, and our band room at Mayo High School is only fits so many players. You can seat about 70, 75 players in that band room at Mayo High School before it starts to feel kind of tight. And that Symphonic Band and Symphonic Winds are each sitting right at about 70 players. But that kind of gives you an overview of just the bands that we have here at Mayo High School that are the primary ensembles. I send this out fairly frequently, this link, bit.ly, so bit.ly /Mayo Bands Calendar. And the band calendar, I think, is just a great way to kind of wrap your head around all the different performances that we got going on. So we've got most of the 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, and then about 16 of our 9th graders are doing marching band this fall, and they have their first performance here this Friday. And then you can see here on the band calendar, says question mark, but this is a thing that's happening. Potential University of Minnesota High School Band Day. We've got about a single coach bus load of people going to that, which is just an optional field trip for those marching band folks. If you skip ahead in October, you'll see, of course, our mattress fundraiser we just talked about on October 4th, but our first band concert is on the 13th of October, just before MEA break. And you'll be welcome to kind of leaf through this calendar and see what all we've got going on throughout the year. But this link is kind of just persistent year to year. I always encourage people just to bookmark it, and bit.ly /Mayo Bands Calendar. I think it's easy to remember, but also I've been saying it every year for many years now. One thing that you might not be aware of is an opportunity for musicians in the program is our fall musical pit orchestra. The personnel for this group kind of changes from year to year, but this year it's fairly large group with quite a few woodwinds, brass, and strings and percussion and piano players and things like that. We're doing a Christmas Carol, which was orchestrated by the guy who did a lot of Disney movies. You might recognize his name, Alan Menken. Did Aladdin and Little Mermaid and things like that. And so this fall musical pit orchestra starts to coalesce at the end of any given school year for the next fall. So pretty much all of our positions are filled for this ensemble right now. But if your student has interest in it in the future, something to think about. Our jazz band has typically rehearsed Tuesdays and Thursdays after school, and usually starting after the fall musical season is over. If you've never been a part of a musical before, it takes up quite a bit of our time, and maybe not quite as much in September and October, but November especially. And that jazz band tends to run until the end of the school year, but we tend to have our biggest concert between winter and spring sports. And so our jazz musicians typically do that winter season, and then many of them also do the spring season as well. Although I will say about the schedule, we're going to be doing a poll with the students fairly soon, asking them if that Tuesday, Thursday after school time frame is a good time frame for them, or if people would be interested in looking into other days of the week or even mornings. I know I've got a couple passionate people about jazz band that have some after school conflicts that are going to be trying to try real hard with me to see if we can figure out a morning jazz band situation for some people here. But I think jazz is a huge passion for a lot of people. These past couple years, we've had enough players to almost merit 2 different jazz bands. And so I'm excited to see how many players we have interested this year. For those of you unaware, we do touring every once in a while. This year, the 25-26 school year, we're doing a week-long trip to Disney World in Orlando during the second week of winter break. And the way touring tends to work around here is we'll do a large-scale trip every 3 years, as the clientele that tends to go on the trip are usually sophomores, juniors, or seniors in the music programs. And typically we're traveling with the Mayo Band, Choir, and Orchestra together. But we feel that by doing this sort of one big trip every 3 years sort of thing, then a student in the program tends to get that opportunity once every 3 years, or once while they're in the program. So once every 3 years for sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And so we're not traveling on a large scale each year, but we do typically offer something like this just once every 3 years for those sophomores, juniors, and seniors in the program. Another thing that's not really school related, but I've been associated with off and on over the past 13-ish years or so, is a program called the Ambassadors of Music. This is a statewide program that travels to Europe, and it travels to Europe on the even year summers. So the last trip that we just went on was the summer of 2024, and the next trip is the 2026 trip. People that are going on that 2026 trip are already signed up. But if you have a young student in the program, say maybe just in 9th grade this year, something that they might consider, this is a few years down the line, is the summer of 2028 trip with the Minnesota Ambassadors of Music. I think it's a phenomenal trip. I've been on it 4 or 5 times now. I'm trying to remember exactly how many times I've been on that trip, but as a staff member, I've been on that maybe 4 or 5 times, and I think it's a great deal for kids. It is a 16-day Europe tour, so it's definitely a significant thing to kind of buy into, but it's a good time. One thing that you may not have thought about is if you want to, if it works in your family's budget, is consider private lessons. Frequently I tell people that the Rochester Music Guild, they keep a list of private lesson instructors in the area, and not necessarily like everybody is listed, but there are a lot of private lesson teachers listed here. I'm going to see if I can pull that up on my screen. So if you find the Rochester Music Guild website, they'll have a directory of private lesson teachers and just a ton of names, people that teach private lessons in the area. So you can find people that teach clarinet, you can find people that teach flute and French horn and organ and percussion and piano. Lots of piano teachers in the area. But nearly every instrument is covered pretty well on this website. And there are some people that we know of that are teaching privately that maybe just aren't listed on this website yet. But we have people that take lessons from some of the people on this list, and happy to help recommend you somebody to give a try. We know that private lessons don't necessarily fit into everybody's budget. But at the same time, it's certainly a great way to get help on their instrument if it works in your family, with your family. One of the things that you maybe haven't ever thought about is if you sign your student up for private lessons, what's the vibe? Like, do you need to commit to something long-term right away? And generally, I would say the answer is no. You can usually talk to a private lesson teacher and sign up for maybe 1 or 2 or 3 just trial lessons, which you may have to pay for, but just on a trial basis to see if it's a good fit before you decide if you want to go down that path. Something that I think is really cool this year, and this is just based on my daily schedule, is that I'm teaching our 225 band students in hours 1, 2, 3, and 8. And the students, they will have their lunch period either 4th hour or 5th hour. And so I don't have an official sign up on my office door yet, but I plan to offer students extra help on their instrument kind of at a volunteer basis where they could eat their lunch quick that day and then come down to the music department to get extra help on their instrument. I feel like a band program with as many players as we have is a lot of fun in the sense that we get to come together as a class and just make great music together. But at the same time, when you've got 40 or 70 students in the same room at the same time, it's pretty difficult to give one person extra help on their instrument. But with my schedule the way it is, it'll be real nice for me to be able to offer that this year to any student that wants it. In fact, I had a flute player take me up on that offer just 2 days ago, and got some help figuring out how to play in the high range of the flute over the lunch hour, and that was phenomenal. And hopefully that makes a difference in that student's practicing and figuring out the flute. Something that's kind of unique, well, maybe not unique, but like definitely is a thing in Minnesota, is we've got some honor bands. And an honor band, if you don't know what it is just getting some students together for a short period of time to learn some music and playing a concert. My colleague who teaches band in Austin, Minnesota, his name is Christoph Dundas, and he compiled this spreadsheet that has just almost every honor band that is either at the state level or is like regional to Southeast Minnesota. And he's got like categories for like when it is. So when is the actual honor band? If we know the 25-26 school year date of this ensemble yet, what grade levels it applies to. Like, is it a 9th and 10th grade honor band? Is it 11th and 12th grade? Is it 9 through 12? Are there auditions, or is entry to the honor band by director nomination? There's honor bands that are related to statewide music organizations. If you see the letters MBDA, that stands for Minnesota Band Directors Association. And if you see MMEA, that stands for Minnesota Music Educators Association. And both these run honor bands, but also a ton of colleges run honor bands. Like we've got St. Thomas, UMD, Winona State, Eau Claire, Gustavus, Moorhead. And that's just the first 5 on this list of like nearly 20 colleges that are offering honor bands. I think the cool thing about those college ones is that you don't necessarily have to major in music to play music in college. And by going to one of these college honor bands, maybe this happens to be a college you're interested in, you can maybe tour the campus a little bit, get a little bit experience of what their music program is like, whether you want to major in it or not. And maybe just find out about scholarship opportunities at that college that are music related. So that's all phenomenal stuff about honor bands, and Minnesota has a ton of them. So what I'll do is I'll send that spreadsheet out to everybody in the band program so that you guys can see that and see if there's any honor bands that you or your students are interested in either getting nominated for or auditioning for if it's a by audition honor band. So we talked about college-related honor bands. We talked about local honor bands that are sort of regional in nature, and then of course there's state-level honor bands. If you've got a ninth grader in the program this year, and you've got somebody who's a big go-getter in music, Minnesota has a state-level honor band for 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students. And so if you have a student that's really highly interested in music, something to understand about Minnesota is that they really do offer a world-class state-level experience for every grade level for band students. And also, in many cases, there are jazz band versions of these honor bands as well, which is great if your student's interested in jazz. All right. We use the band app for group communication. It's I also use email a ton. I hope you guys are emailers too, because I certainly email a lot. But the band app is just this group communication app that's kind of like Remind. We actually used to use Remind, but they eventually kind of got to the point where they couldn't they wouldn't handle an organization as large as ours for free. And so some of the iconography of the band app looks kind of like this. The main one that we communicate in has this logo where it says M Band. And I think that you'll probably start to see that sports organizations are starting to use this as well. In fact, I've seen some people that have ninth grade students who aren't even in our marching band this fall have been finding our band app and joining, which is great. And you can see a lot of the posts that are in here so far are very marching band related. You can see here's the kids having some fun back in August. They did a Family Feud event and whatnot. But I'll send out links over Skyward emails and things like that for you to join up for the band app. I think it's great for communication, and it's just one more way to stay in touch with everything that we got going on here in the Mayo bands. We talked a little bit about marching band earlier, and I mentioned that nearly all 10th, 11th, and 12th grade band students participate. There's a handful that don't. Like we've got a student who's the manager for the football team. We've got a student who plays on the football team. And we've got, this, that, and the other thing. But I would say out of the 10th, 11th, 12th grade students, we're talking like 90 to 95% of them are doing marching band. We also opened up marching band to ninth graders this year. We had 16 people from that group opt in, which is phenomenal. That's going super, super well. And I think we'll continue that on next year, inviting this year's eighth graders who might be Mayo band students next year to participate. We perform at the main 4 home football games, and then we'll give that concert on October 13th, like we talked about earlier. Pep band and in the Mayo bands, like we'll perform for section finals and state for soccer and volleyball. We also perform at football playoff games. In the winter season, we'll do 10 to 12 regular season basketball and hockey games, as well as playoff games in state. Pep band around here is encouraged, but not graded. And so want to try to create a band program for students where if you have a student who is like a multi-sport athlete and wants to stay in the band program, we understand that that makes a student's life pretty darn busy. And so we don't grade our pep band performances at all. We encourage students to engage in that part of the program, and we honor those students with lettering points and the ability to get an academic letter, here at Mayo High School. But also we understand that in an organization as large as ours, there's going to be some of their lives that just can't wrap their schedules around pep band and coming to these athletic events, or might be somewhere in between. So pep band is encouraged and but not graded. Something you might be thinking about now, especially if your student's entering high school, is what does an upgraded instrument look like? Maybe your student's been playing now for a little while, for maybe a few years or more, and you might be wondering what's out there. I can only give the advice that I have, and we do have great relationships with Schmidt Music and Music Mart here in town. And I will say that, you know, it never hurts to go look and see what the prices are. We found that frequently students can get an instrument locally through one of those shops at a very competitive price to what you might find online. And they can also guide you on great brands to consider. When it comes to woodwind and brass instruments, you know, in my experience, looking at the intermediate model instruments is not necessarily the best bang for your buck. I tend to think that on the cheaper side of things, a good student model instrument with a pro level mouthpiece can be a great stepping stone towards getting a great instrument set up. You know, these instrument manufacturers, they tend to make two different types of instruments. They tend to make professional quality instruments that tend to not really have any compromises in the quality, and then they tend to make mass market student model instruments that are geared towards getting an instrument that is as good a quality as they can make at a low enough price point that it's not a huge barrier to entry to owning an instrument. And so on the wooden or brass side of things, you're talking like your trumpet mouthpieces, tuba mouthpieces, clarinet mouthpieces, stuff like that. Getting a pro level mouthpiece for 100 or 200 bucks can be a huge stepping stone in the right direction. You know, I'm a trumpet player myself, but I have a pro level clarinet mouthpiece that I play on my wife's clarinet. And that mouthpiece is just phenomenal. It makes playing the clarinet feel so much nicer, even on just a relatively standard clarinet instrument. And of course, you know, playing a professional model instrument is certainly the experience that they make it out to be, but it also comes with a larger price. And if you ever need advice on upgrading instruments, I am more than happy to offer some advice and some guidance on what to consider purchasing. You know, that was me talking a whole lot, and I know that some of you might have some questions about the band program. And so if you want to drop something in the text chat, I'm more than happy to answer your question if you drop a question in there. Somebody dropped a question in there just recently. Can you share these slides via email after the meeting? Absolutely. And I've been recording this meeting as well. We'll post it on YouTube. Also, feel free to unmute your mic if you want to ask a question over the chat. And I'm happy to talk about any topics that you guys want to hear more about as well. So let's see if we can generate some discussion topics about things that maybe I didn't cover that you'd like to know more about.
Hi, thank you so much. Will you, oh, can you hear me?
Yep, I got you. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Will you be putting the schedule for the pep band concerts also on the calendar, or are those a little bit more like you don't really know ahead of time when it's going to happen? I guess because some of those are for playoffs and stuff, right?
Yes, yeah, we will. So here's what I do. I tend to put stuff on the calendar as it becomes more likely when it comes to those sorts of things. So I'm gonna look at the calendar here at October. So I know that this week of October 20th is typically when we might start seeing a soccer game or two for like the section finals if one of our teams has made it that far. And so I hate to do this and try to predict whether a team is going to make it to those section finals or not, or if they're going to lose out in the tournament. But with a band program with as many events as we have, I'll do my absolute best to try to give you the probability of this event or that event happening. I would say with all these sports teams, it's still a little bit early in the season to know where we're kind of headed with that. One of my absolute favorite websites for looking at Minnesota sports statistics, if you don't know much about it, is I love Minnesota-scores.net. I don't know if any of y'all check this out, but you can see section standings for all the sports and whatnot. Like we can take a look at and see. Let's take a look at soccer here and see if we've got boys AAA soccer section 1. How are we doing so far? Yeah, we've only got one game on the books. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of tough to say like where the boys soccer team they're headed this year in terms of their competitiveness in the section. And so as those seasons progress, we'll look more of that and try to give you our best estimate as to when those events are happening. Does that kind of answer your question a little bit?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah. Let's see. I see a question in the chat saying, "Is marching band required after 9th grade?" I would say to answer that question, we encourage it to the maximum amount of my ability to be persuasive. If a student wants to remain in the band program after 9th grade and not be a part of marching band at all, I'm not going to deny that person being in the band program. I'll probably sit down and maybe just have a conversation with that student to kind of understand what their perspective is and maybe, what their individual situation is. Everybody's a little bit different. We do have a handful of people that won't be performing with the marching band this fall. But my job, I think, as a band director is to try to make marching band fun and exciting, and then try to make it an enjoyable and easy to do experience for as many people as possible so that we have a system where the vast majority of people can participate and hopefully want to participate. But we're not going to kick anybody out of the band program if they just don't like marching band. And then the follow-up question to that was, could a student just do jazz band? And the answer to that is typically no. We think of jazz band as an extracurricular activity that is very core related to the band program overall. And so we would have a fairly strict requirement there that students that do jazz band would need to be a member of a band class to do that. Great questions, guys. Keep them coming if you have any. I understand if you have to head out from the meeting, if you feel like you've got all the information that you need, and so don't feel like I'm keeping you here if you need to head out. But keep those questions coming if you have any. Happy to answer. Oh, great. Yeah. Somebody's curious about learning additional woodwind instruments. Yeah. Are there any school instruments that he might be able to play rather than buying multiple? Yeah. So I would say right now we probably have a little bit of need for people to be exploring the oboe and the bassoon, of which we have a handful of school oboes and school bassoons. We have some bass clarinets that people might want to explore a little bit on. Maybe an extra tenor saxophone or two on the woodwind side of things. We also own a few, I would say, non-traditional woodwind instruments that don't get used in every concert band piece. So, like, we have an English horn, which is a great woodwind instrument. But it's one of those instruments that you wouldn't use in every single piece of concert band music. But I would say students that are interested in learning more about other woodwind instruments, if they're already a woodwind player, just have a conversation with me and we'll get that started. Let's see, a conversation about, are the concerts grade based? So we're going to have all 4 bands performing at the concerts. This first one, I think, will only last about an hour or maybe an hour, 10, 15 minutes, because it's going to be the 2 9th grade bands, and then the marching band will kind of play a review of their music. In total, I think that concert will be about an hour, hour 10 or something like that. And that'll be all 4. It'll be all 4 band classes. The December concert will be the same way. That one will probably clock in at about an hour and 20 minutes. But it'll be all bands at each concert. Let's see. A question about trying out for jazz band. I would say sort of yes. I feel like with jazz band, we got to take a look and do a poll about who's interested, what their availability is, and then we'll take just the example of trombone. So if all of a sudden we have 15 trombone players interested, we're going to have to figure something out. A standard jazz band is typically 4 or 5 trumpets, 4 or 5 trombones, 5 saxophones, and a rhythm section. So piano, bass, drums, maybe guitar, maybe vibraphone, maybe auxiliary percussion. And so does a student need to try out for jazz band? We got to do a little figuring out. I mean, it's going to start by just polling the students, see who's interested, see what the availability is, and kind of go from there. So yes, maybe, but stay tuned. Stay tuned. More questions. Hop on mic if you want to, or toss one in the chat if you got a question.
Is the music for pep band different from the music for marching band, or is that the same?
I would say there's some overlap.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're doing some marching band songs we're doing right now. We're doing like Michael Bublé's Feeling Good. We're doing Safe and Sound by Capital Cities. We've got Taylor Swift's Shake It Off happening right now. We got a little power ballad mashup of music of Prince, Journey, and ABBA. And we'll have to see, as long as the students are not getting too jaded on that music, there's a good chance that some of those will continue on throughout the pep band season. But we have a room that has filing cabinets of what we consider like our traditional pep band repertoire that's right across from my office, where students, like if they lose a piece of sheet music, they can kind of re-add it and whatnot. And so especially for rookies who are new to the marching band, they can start, finding some sheet music in there, and we'll learn that as we go along. But we have probably about 20 or 30 pep band tunes that we learn that that we play throughout the year, and we try to freshen it up from time to time as well. Little mix of everything. Anybody else? Feel free to drop a thing in the chat or. Oh yeah, hey, let's see. Sarah Rogers posted this in the chat. You guys got to check this out. The Rogers family has been doing a phenomenal job helping out with videos and things like that. And we've got a YouTube channel. I think if you're on YouTube, if you just search Mayo HS Bands, you should be able to find it here. Yeah, there we go. So Mayo HS Bands, and tons of videos, lots of concert videos and things like that. And yeah, big shout out to the Rogers family who's been helping video and doing things like that. So lots of videos to check out. Oh, there's my kid when she was a little tiny baby. Yeah, so do check that out on YouTube. Lots of things to see there. Phenomenal. Let's see. Anybody else have a question? Feel free to just shout it out. Go ahead.
Hi, Aaron. I was wondering, in terms of the marching band on Friday,
Yep.
how early do they need to be there? Are they expected to stay for the entire game?
Yeah. Great. I think some of this was maybe in a schedule I sent out. Oh gosh, maybe that was last week. But we're going to give the students a call time of 5 p.m. With the understanding that we know that not everybody will be able to make it there by 5. We just ask that every student who's able to make it there by 5, make it there by 5. And what we'll do at 5 o'clock is, before we're in our marching band uniforms, we'll hop out in the field, do a quick walkthrough of the shows, make sure we know where everyone's supposed to go, make sure we know what we're doing. And then we'll head back inside, get uniforms distributed. I think we've got, we'll do a band photo together at door 6 at about 6:10 p.m. Game starts at 7. We'll play halftime around 8 or so. And then normally we would actually stay in our marching band uniforms until the end of the game and then head home at the end of the game. So yes, people stay to the end of the game typically. Although I will say students sometimes ask for exceptions, like maybe say, hey, Mr. Cole, I'm taking the ACT the next morning. Could I leave after halftime? I just ask in those situations that people are good communicators if they have something going on the next day where they feel like they can't stay till the end of the game. But the vast majority of students stay to the end of the game. We normally take the third quarter off, meaning that like if the team were to score a touchdown during the third quarter, yeah, we're not playing the school song. We're just going to take the third quarter off, give the kids a rest. And if they haven't had enough to eat by that point, sometimes people will go grab some concessions, things like that. This game is going to be a little bit different in that we have a busload of people that are going to the U of M high school band day the very next morning. Okay. And that bus loads at 4 a.m. So we're actually we're gonna send the kids inside after halftime, and we're gonna put all the uniforms away because that takes a little bit of time. And so we're gonna put all the uniforms away after halftime on this game on Friday, and then send the kids back out to play for touchdowns and things like that. But then once the end of the football game hits, we're going to try to get everybody out of there real fast. So especially those kids who need to make that 4 a.m. bus the next morning can get at least a few hours of sleep before that game day.
Okay.
Does that kind of answer your question a little bit?
Yeah, that's great. And then
Perfect.
in terms of parents who want to be there, take pictures, send off to proud grandparents and whatnot, is there
Yes.
a place that, if we can't make it, someone is going to take those pictures and then share, like maybe that YouTube channel, or
Yes, as far as
pictures
I
will be sent
know,
out?
the Rogers family is planning to video again. And I do think, a lot of parents do take pictures and things like that. And the nice thing about our group communication app, the Band app, is people can post photos. Like, it's not just me making posts. Like, people can make posts. You can make photo albums and things like that. There's a ton of Mayo High School band history that is in this group, and you can see just years over years people posting photos in here, and it's a great way to just kind of share lots of Mayo bands things that you could share out to family members and whatnot.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Let's see. Oh yeah, let's see. What are the kids to dress in Saturday? Is that about the U of M high school band day field trip? Julie Johnson asking in the chat.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so we will pack our uniforms, and we have garment bags for that. So some of the kids have already grabbed a garment bag and labeled it with a piece of tape and their name and everything. The ones who haven't done that yet can either do that tomorrow or Friday. Or on the morning of, but I think it'd be nice if we make sure that by the time we're leaving the Mayo football game on Friday night, we've got our uniforms packed in our garment bags, and all those garment bags and hat boxes and whatnot are going to be sitting in the Mayo band room, ready to be loaded on the bus then on Saturday morning. And so we'll have that stuff packed in garment bags. In terms of what they should just wear on the bus, there's comfortable clothing. I did get a note, and I'm going to tell this to the U of M band people tomorrow. I did get a note from the U of M band director this morning, Betsy McCann. She said, hey, heads up, it's going to be a little chilly on Saturday morning during our practice. And so I would recommend like pants and like a sweatshirt or a jacket or something like that, because we're definitely going to have some fall weather this weekend. And so that's what the students will be wearing. So they'll start their day in just their casual clothing, stay a little bit warm, and then eventually we'll change into uniform and then wear uniforms through the Gopher game, and then they'll be able to change back into their casual clothes for the bus ride home.
Great. Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions? Happy to help out if you guys have anything. Well, you all have been phenomenal. Thanks for sticking it out to the end of the meeting. If you think of anything after this, feel free to shoot me an email. And I probably won't send anything out about this meeting tonight. I'm going to help go tuck my kid into bed. She's 5 years old and just started kindergarten. But I will send things out tomorrow, and people can reference this and send it out to other people that maybe didn't get a chance to see this meeting. Well, thanks, everybody. And you guys have a lovely, lovely evening. Take care.
Bye.